So, if you've seen any videos on my channel before, you know I'm a big fan of the anime Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I've made videos of me playing Legacy of the Duelist. I've made a video about me talking about, in the original series, what the top 10 best duels of the series were. I'll leave links to those videos in this video, but what I want to talk about is something big that happened with this anime, which was the very first movie, Pyramid of Light, that this anime got. The movie Pyramid of Light came out all the way back in 2002, and I was 6 years old at the time, and I remember like seeing trailers for different things, like there was a toy, the Blue Eye Shining Dragon. I remember seeing commercials for that toy, and I didn't care at all about having the toy, but I'm like, what? There's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie? And being the 6-year-old that I was, my mind was blown. And lucky for me, it came out on DVD around Christmas time, but I really wish I had seen it in theaters, because this movie is just too amazing not to watch in theaters, because me being Yu-Gi-Oh! Loving the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and card game and major fan that I am, I really wanted to watch it. But today, I'm going to review the movie, saying what happened and my thoughts of it, of what went down. Anyway, guys, let's get right to it. The movie starts off pretty close in how the original anime starts off. I mean, it starts off with the tablet in the museum that is in the original anime, with Atem and Seto having their shadow duel, and we have that narrator talking about the shadow games, how the mighty pharaoh locked the dark magic away. And we get the scene where Yugi Moto is in the room putting together the Millennium Puzzle. And on the other side of the world, in Egypt, we have these diggers, and they're just like on an archaeological dig. And eventually they dig up this underground cavern, and they're like, oh, no way! We found it! The lost tomb of Anubis! And we see this actually really cool sarcophagus. It's just like a normal mummy sarcophagus, but the sarcophagus head is like the jackal, like Anubis's head is. It's pretty cool. And they're like, why would they wrap the sarcophagus in chains? So while these diggers are exploring the tomb of Anubis, we got Yugi back in, I think it's America. I don't know. It never really specifies if Yu-Gi-Oh! Is set in Japan or America. I think it's Japan, so we're gonna go with Japan. Anyway, back in Japan, we got Yugi in his room still putting together the Millennium Puzzle, but like these spirits start floating around his room, which is pretty creepy. And as he's putting the puzzle together, things start happening in Egypt that are even creepier. Like, the diggers, they find an entrance to a room that has the Pyramid of Light inside of it. And as Yugi's putting together the puzzle, he's like, alright, one piece to go. And he puts it together, and the room that the diggers are in just shuts, and the mummy of Anubis starts coming to life, and the entire dig site starts collapsing. And it's something that 4Kids doesn't address, but literally, as Yugi finished putting the puzzle together and the whole dig site is going to crap, like the tomb collapses, it never addresses that they literally killed all the people on that dig site when the tomb collapsed, and like everything starts sinking in, things like that. It killed everyone! It never addresses that. I thought that was kind of funny. So as Yugi finishes putting the puzzle together, it like stops glowing, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And then all these, like, shadow monsters, real monsters, come out of the puzzle. There's even a little evil Karibo. It's so funny. It, like, walks by Yugi, and then it gives this evil-looking, like, mouth, and it's about to attack Yugi. And it's the dopest intro for Atem. It does the classic, Yu-Gi-Oh! And then Atem appears, and he's like, "Shadow creatures, be gone! I command you! Return from the dark world from whence you came!" And the shadows go back into the puzzle, and everything goes normal. Like, Yugi goes back to being Yugi, and then we get our opening scene of Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie. Super epic, and I loved it. So after this, we get like an 8-year time skip. We have the conclusion of Battle City, talking about being broadcasted across the streets. Yugi and Atem have been together for a while now, and it's really cool. Like, during the broadcast, we have like these cameo clips of past duelists. Like, we have Rex and Weevil, who are just sitting on the streets as the broadcast of how Yugi is just an amazing duelist is going on. We have My Valentine, who is sitting in a cafe with a drink. We also got people that are just watching Yugi on TV. They're like, "Oh, I bet I can beat the pants off this little guy. He ain't no problem." But it's cool that we got a cameo of these past characters, even though they had no lines. It was cool to see them in this movie. Next scene we get, Yugi and Kaiba are having a duel as usual, and Yugi's like, "You wanted a rematch, Senju Kaiba? You've got it." And Kaiba's like, "And this time things are gonna end differently." And he ends up forming his Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and this part was so weird. Like, they're supposed to be holograms, but Kaiba literally jumps onto his dragon, and he's like, "There's no way you can beat me now, Yugi. Let's see you try." And Yugi has all 3 god cards out, and he melds like Slifer and Ra into Obelisk. Obelisk power goes infinite thanks to his ability, and of course Kaiba loses again. And the next scene after the duel, we get Kaiba, who's like super mad at his workers that they haven't been able to find a way to beat the Egyptian god cards, and he's like, "Well, if I were you, I'd start looking for a new job. You had more than enough time to try to figure out how to beat these god cards. You're fired. Get out." And we just get the scene of Kaiba thinking about how there may be someone that can help him defeat the god cards, and then it fades to black. The next scene we get is with a character that played a giant part in the first season. He was the main villain of the first season of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, and we haven't seen him again since, but that is Maximilian Pegasus, and it's the original voice actor of the English dub. I love him. Like, the dub and the sub, both voice actors literally sound very identical. How, like, the English voice actor for Pegasus is like, "Ooh, Yugi boy, I'm so glad to see you." That's like, he almost does the original voice actor of Pegasus perfect. Like, let's roll how bad original voice actor of Pegasus is, because he sounds almost how the dub does. また絵本の中に隠れてしまいましたね。そうそう言い忘れましたが、トゥーンワールドが閉じてしまうと Anyway, Pegasus is asleep in his little house on his island, and we get the spirit of Anubis who enters the house, and he puts the card, the Pyramid of Light, in Pegasus's deck. And Pegasus, during this time, like, he has a nightmare about how the 3 Egyptian god cards, Obelisk, Ra, and Slifer, are going to be destroyed by the Pyramid of Light. And Pegasus wakes up and he's like, "Something terrible is about to happen." And then that's the end of that scene. What happens after this with Kiaba has got to be one of his coolest scenes in this movie. Like, he's getting his Blue Eyes White Dragon jet ready to take off, and we get the first song of the movie, and it's the awesome, like, don't say if I were you, tell me what you do. That's his awesome, like, theme song with the lyrics. It's awesome. Mokuba's like, I hope you know what you're doing, big brother. And Kaiba's just like, I was thinking the same thing. And he takes off and goes to Pegasus Island. And we just get the theme song through the entire time. If you haven't heard the theme song, let's play a little bit. I hope I don't get copyright for it, but I want to play it because it's awesome. Don't say if I were you, tell me what you do. So, Kaiba finally gets to Pegasus Island. He lands, and like the scene is like Pegasus is by the pool drinking white wine spritzer. And honestly, I think a lot of people were surprised that 4Kids didn't dub the wine in this. Like, they made it red. They didn't like say it was grape juice or fruit juice or what they do in the original, like the original series, how wine was just fruit juice. They call it wine in this, and they didn't like make clear or anything. Anyway, like Kaiba and Pegasus starts talking, and Kaiba's just like, I know you, Pegasus. I know you created a way to beat the God Cards, because if you hadn't, you would have never sent them into production. If you did, you would have never let them out of your sweaty little hands. Now tell me how you beat them. And Pegasus is like, oh, I did invent one card, but you have to beat me in a duel for it, otherwise you can't have it. And Kaiba ends up putting up his 3 blue eyes to beat Pegasus, and Pegasus is like, well, I guess I can dust off my deck. Alright, Kaiba, let the games begin! So before this duel can begin, we get this scene where it's back in, I'm gonna say it's Japan. I'm gonna say Pegasus lives in America and everyone else lives in Japan. But anyway, it's back in Japan, back in school, and like, everyone wants to duel Yugi for the God Cards, and Joey and Tristan are holding them off, and eventually, like, they start running away, Tristan and Joey, and they get called, someone calls them nobodies, and Joey's like, now listen here, nobody called me a nobody, you got that? Nobody calls me a nobody, a bunch of nobodies, you got that, nobody? And they each take a turn roasting him, which is super funny.
We got Yugi, not you.
Yeah, right! We want the king of games, not the king of lame! The duel monster's champ, not chump!
The master of the gods, not the master of the clods.
Hey!
Eventually, Joey's like, hey, I get the point already. Anyway, you gotta take on me if you gotta get to Yugi. After all, I'm the godfather of games, capiche?
Hey, Joey Wheeler. So if you want to get to the king of games, you'll have to go through me, the godfather of games, capiche?
And because Joey's the comic relief of this kid's anime, he starts off dueling this one guy with sunglasses, and the guy plays Ejection Fairy Lily, and he's like, let's give him a checkup, Lily! And it ends up with Joey being stabbed in the butt, which, to this day, it's still got a laugh out of me. Just the way that one scene is animated is hilarious. Anyway, it ends with Joey beating everyone. He's like, alright, now I think you all should have some respect for Joey, the godfather of games, capiche? And Yugi and Taya show up again for some stupid reason, more comic relief, and Yugi's like, coast clear yet, Joey? And everyone sees Yugi and they start running after him again, and it ends with Joey and Tristan being trampled, and Tristan's just like, yeah, they respect ya. And Joey's like, I could have been a contender. I love Joey in this. He's the comic relief, but he is funny. Anyway, I guess when Joey was dueling all those people, this is what's going on back in America. Pegasus and Kiaba are having their duel, and Pegasus, right away, he plays Toon World, giving up 1,000 life points. And I'm glad they added this part into it, that part, because in the original anime, he didn't have to give up 1,000 life points. Well, in the first season, like, he'd be already down to 1,000 life points left, because back then they only started with 2,000, which I guess I kind of can forgive it. In the movie, they start off with 4,000, so he's 3,000. Anyway, honestly, the Toon deck is not the best deck. Already, you gotta give up a bunch of life points just to play one magic card, and you can only play, like, Toon cards from then on, but it's still pretty cool, because, like, there's one point where he's able to summon a Toon Summon Skull, Toon Dark Magician Girl, and Toon Blue Eyes White Dragon, and he has them all on the field, and honestly, even though Pegasus isn't the best duelist, he can honestly pump him up with a good, set of offense monsters, because those monsters had, like, over 2,000 and up to 3,000 attack points. Anyway, Kiaba comes up with this major great strategy at the end. He's able to destroy Toon World, and since Toon World's gone, all of Pegasus's Toon monsters are destroyed as well, and he ends up losing the duel. Anyway, after that, Kaiba's like, "No, let's see what cards you got." And he's like, "You little snake, you have 2 cards, not 1. These are gonna help me defeat the god cards for sure." And Pegasus is like, "What do you mean? 2 cards? Kiaba, there was only 1!" And Kiaba just does not listen to Pegasus, he just leaves. And then we get to the scene where Yugi and Taya and Yugi's grandpa are at the hospital. Not hospital, museum, checking out the sarcophagus of Anubis. At one point we have Yugi's grandpa, he's reading like a prophecy on Anubis' sarcophagus, and the shadow appears behind Yugi, and we get this flash of light, and they're all knocked out, but Yugi has like this vision of both Atem and Kiaba having this duel. Atem loses, and like, before Kiaba can celebrate, he's grabbed by his head by Anubis. And I think at this point they weren't sure what they wanted Anubis to look like, because Anubis in the vision is like a human body with the jackal head. Later in the movie he looks different, which I'm glad they changed it, because that would have been really cheesy. But this scene was kind of cool to see. Anyway, they all wake up from being knocked out, and Yugi's like, "I gotta go find Kiaba, I gotta warn him, Taya, stay here and look after Grandpa." And as Yugi is leaving the hospital, Mokuba pulls up in his limo, and he's like, "Yugi, I need to take you to get your duel disc, and you're gonna duel my brother right away." And Yugi's like, "Alright, I guess I have to. I mean, I wanted to make sure he was okay. No better chance than dueling him to make sure he's okay, even though he's a complete wacko right now." I do like that Mokuba's original voice actor came back to do the movie. Like, in season 5, they had a different voice actor for him, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. I did not like his voice in season 5. Luckily, he only stayed for like the first half of it and didn't come back. But, yeah, original voice actor is much better. So, we get this scene where Joey and Tristan are walking back home, and they see Kaiba's limo at Yugi's place, and Joey's like, "Yugi, wait up! Stop!" And Joey's just like, "Bro, I smell trouble." And we got the classic Tristan, like, Tristan, in the original and this movie, he provides nothing, just, like, one-liners, and he makes a fart joke where he goes, "Actually, that's me, sorry about that." Tristan's an interesting character.
I smell trouble.
Actually, that's me. Sorry about that.
So they get to Kaiba's duel dome, and it has the best intro to a duel. I mean, we got Kaiba's walking down this hallway, and it is so cool. Like, we got these lasers going on that are projecting these different duel monsters as he is walking down the hallway. Like, if they ever create a Yu-Gi-Oh! Theme park, I wish they would have something like that, because that is awesome. Anyway, like, Kaiba and Yugi come face to face, and Kaiba's like, glad you decided to show up. I hope you brought your god cards, even though this might not even be a fun duel at all if you didn't bring them. And Yugi's just like, Kaiba, there's something bothering me about this. We have to stop. We can't duel. You have to believe me. And Kaiba's just like, you know, even though you're scared, we're still gonna duel. I'm tired of you having these warning speeches. Mokuba, seal all the exits. And Mokuba just like shuts all the doors. And they finally decide to start their duel. And yeah. It's going as a normal duel so far. What's really cool is that Yugi has his 3 monsters on the field. He has Jack's Knight, King's Knight, Queen's Knight, and then he draws a card, and we get like this flash of lightning. It's really cool. It's like the god cards sending their power through Yugi, and he draws Slifer the Sky Dragon, and he summons it to destroy Yugi or Kaiba's little dragon. And it is awesome. I love Slifer. I love him since Slifer was first summoned, but how Slifer is animated in this, it's a completely different animation through the movie. He looks really cool. Anyway, Kaiba's like, you think you're gonna win after one lucky move? Forget it! And he's like, if you think I'm afraid of your god cards, I'm not. I'm gonna make you summon all 3 of them at once! And so he activates this one card that has Yugi play all god cards, and like we get this major shock power thing that happens as he summons an obelisk, and then a Ra appears, and it was probably for like time thing or whatever. But they didn't have Yugi do his chant, which I'm pretty sure Ra needs to have a chant to be summoned. Like, he does it in the final duel between Atem and Yugi, and Merrick does it to summon Ra when he duels Mai. But in this, Yugi can just play it and it's summoned. But he brings them all out, and that's when Kaiba activates the Pyramid of Light. When the Pyramid of Light is activated, it just, like, makes this giant laser show out of, like, it makes a pyramid symbol out of lasers, and then this blue light covers the lasers, and, like, it's kind of funny. Instead of just straight up being destroyed, like, Obelisk reaches out and he touches the pyramid, and he gets shot, and then all the god cards get destroyed. So I'm kind of wondering, like, do the god cards have a mind of their own for Obelisk to reach out and touch the pyramid to get back to a 10? Anyway, once the pyramid is played, this evil eye appears, Yugi gets sucked into the pyramid, or the Millennium Puzzle, and Joey and Tristan, like, they get their souls taken out of their bodies, and they get sucked into the Millennium Puzzle as well. And it's cool, like, we always see Yugi in the Millennium Puzzle, but we never see Joey and Tristan in the Millennium Puzzle. So it was kind of cool to see the maze that is inside the puzzle with Joey and Tristan in it this time, along with Yugi. That was cool to see. Anyway, while they're in the puzzle, the duel between Atem and Kaiba is still going on, and this part was creepy. Like, Atem is like, now you have no monsters on play. I think you're really gonna not like what happens with this. And Kaiba summons Penton, the Dark Clown, and Penton, literally, the card flips around, and Kaiba's like, attack! Bloodlust Slash! And Penton appears behind Yugi, and we get the darkest scene. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't like in extended cut footage from the movie, because it's a kid movie, but literally the screen goes red, and we get the silhouette of Atem being stabbed through the back by Penton the Dark Clown, and Atem's like, "Ah!" Like, he's screaming from actually being stabbed. It's very dark and very cool. And Atem's like, "That attack, it trained me somehow. But I am far from being beaten." And he summons like this warrior version of Dark Magician Girl. It's like Valkyria at night or something like that. And it destroys Penton the Dark Clown. Kaiba loses life points. And then he summons Deck Destruction Virus, which is one of the cheatiest, most unfair cards in the game. Like, I'm surprised Kaiba uses it in his deck. Just because Kaiba's always bragging about how he's the best duelist, he doesn't have to resort to cheating ways to win. But with Deck Destruction Virus, it takes 10 cards away from your opponent with every one of their turns. And when your opponent has 45 to 40 cards in their deck, that only lasts for like 4 more turns, or like 9 turns if they have more than 40 in their cards, 45. They will not last long when you use that card against them. So, even though that's a really cool card to have, I'm really surprised that Seto Kaiba has it in his deck. So we take a break from the duel with Yugi back in the puzzle. He sees the spirit of Atem walking through the puzzle, and he's like, "Hey Pharaoh, wait up!" And he's chasing after Atem, and the spirit of Atem goes into this one room where his life force is feeding Anubis. It's kind of dark, and Anubis is like, "Young mortal, you are such a fool to enter this room. You must be prepared to sacrifice your own life, 'cause I am the Lord of the Dead." And these different sarcophaguses open, and these mummies come out, and we get one of the best scenes for the movie. This movie has a lot of comical scenes, I realized, talking about it, which I love. Like, we get Joey and Tristan, they're looking for Yugi, and we get this scene where Yugi's just like, and he's running, and he's like, he runs past Tristan and Joey. He's like, "Dog waiter, run now!" And I'll play the clip of it because I love it.
Dog waiter, run now! What's with him?
Soon we get this scene where Joey, Tristan, and Yugi, they're still in the Millennium Puzzle, but they get to this one area where they see what's going on. They see that, like, Kaiba is just kicking Atem's ass in this duel. Like, literally, this is the best I've seen Kaiba duel against Yugi. But also, they see that, like, the two pyramids, the Pyramid of Light and the Millennium Puzzle are fighting. And the Millennium Puzzle is getting its ass kicked as well. And Yugi's like, "Oh, this has to do something with the inscription on Anubis's tomb. We gotta go find it!" And so they decide to go back towards the mummies to find out how they can stop Anubis and help the Pharaoh, and stop the Pharaoh from potentially dying in the shadow game that Seto Kaiba has unknowingly created. But right now, shit's going down, and it's awesome. So, Atem is getting super weak right now, and he's like, "Kaiba, what's going on? We have to end this. Please, just stop this duel. You can be the winner. I don't care. We have to end this duel." And Kaiba's like, no way! You're just afraid that your reputation is about to be taken away by someone who's always been better. For years now, I have always taken backseat to you, Yugi, while I've had to listen to you preach about the heart of the cards. Do you know how hard that is for me to admit that someone who believes in hocus pocus is a better duelist than me? I am taking my title back today. And Atem's like, very well, if you won't stop this duel, I'll stop it myself! And he draws like all these magicians. He draws Dark Magician Girl, summons her. He's able to bring out Dark Magician, and then he's able to bring out this brand new magician that we haven't seen until this movie, the Sorcerer of Dark Magic. And he's able to destroy the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. And he's also, right before he gets a deck out, Atem gets a deck out, the Sorcerer of Dark Magic is able to destroy trap cards the opponent uses. So, thankfully, Deck Destruction Virus is destroyed. And, Kaiba's like, nice try, Yugi. But believe me, this duel is far from over. And he uses Monster Reborn, and he sacrifices his Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon to bring out the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. And with the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, with the ability it has, it gains 500 attack points for every dragon that Kaiba has in the graveyard, which brings it to 4,500, and it destroys the Sorcerer of Dark Magic, which continues to kill Atem even further, which is pretty intense. So the Duel Dome is collapsing all around Taya, Mokuba, and Grandpa, and we get this scene where we get Pegasus again. He's like, up here! And they all look, it's Pegasus in a helicopter. He's like, I'd hurry up if I were you. So they climb up the ladder to the helicopter, and Mokuba's just like being a brat. He's like, Pegasus, what are you doing here, you asshole? And Pegasus like, well, that's one thank you for saving your life, you ingrate. If I hadn't figured out what was going on here, you would all be dead. And he literally says what everyone knew at the beginning of the movie. He says that the Pyramid of Light was created by Anubis, who was trying to destroy the world. And literally all three of them are like, say what? And I get Mokuba, because like, he hadn't heard of anything of that before. Because Kaiba doesn't believe in Egyptian magic. But with Taya and Grandpa, I expected them to, like, say they already knew that. But instead, they're like, oh, that makes total sense. It's like, did you guys just forget what you learned at the start of the movie? It's pretty stupid. So we get the scene where Yugi, Tristan, and Joey are back in the room where Anubis' sarcophagus is, and Anubis is like, foolish immortals, you return to the place where you're going to die. However, I want you to see the future, since you won't be around to see it. And he shows clips of these monsters, like, destroying the Navy and just attacking people around the world. And he's like, this is what's gonna happen when the Pharaoh loses this duel to my little puppet. And, like, Taya at this point gets this urge that the three of them are in danger, so she lets Anubis rip her spirit out of her body, and she goes to where she's automatically, like, transported to where the three of them are, and she gives her classic friendship speech, and Anubis is basically, you fools! You think friendship can save you when the world is gonna be destroyed? So be it! And Taya goes like back into a physical form, and this is the cool part. Like, she's falling, but she does like this twist kick before she lands, and she kicks off two of the mummies' heads. And Tristan and Joy are like, let's take them apart! And they start fighting the mummies. And this part made me really laugh. Like, it made me laugh out loud hard still. It always made me laugh when I was 6 years old watching it. Like, a mummy grabs one of the other mummy's heads that got kicked off, and it just shows it to Tan, and Tan's like, ah! I loved it. It's so funny. So, we're at the final stage of the duel. Kaiba's just like, how the mighty have fallen. Any last words? And Yugi's still like, Kaiba, please, we have to stop, please! And Kaiba's just like, that speech is getting old, Yugi. And he's like, I'm moving on to my final phase that'll end this. And Yugi's just like, no, Kaiba, don't! And Kaiba uses a blue-eyed shining dragon to destroy the pyramid. Only the pyramid isn't destroyed, and this is when Anubis is like, this I cannot allow! And Kaiba's like, where are you? Show yourself! And Anubis is like, I've been here this whole time, mortal. I've been the one whispering in your ear. And Yugi's like, Kaiba, behind you! And Anubis appears behind Kaiba, grabs Kaiba by the head, and throws him away. He's like, you have served me well, mortal, but now your service has run dry! And, Kaiba ends up breaking his arm from how Anubis throws him, and gets knocked out. And, we finally get the duel between Atem and Anubis. Atem's like, so it's been you this whole time whispering in Kaiba's ear, the Egyptian lord of the dead, Anubis. And Anubis is like, I'm pleased you recognize me, Pharaoh. After all, it's been 10,000 years. And he's like, according to the ancient rules, all I have to do is beat you in this duel, and the world will be mine. And with you only having 200 life points left thanks to my puppet, there will not be a hard task to accomplish. And so he summons like these two monsters like Andro-Sphinx and Sphinx Teleia. And he's like, Sphinx Teleia, it's feeding time! And one of the creepiest scenes, we have Sphinx Teleia like open her mouth in front of Watapon. And it's so creepy that, like, her face is the stuff of nightmares. And Yugi ends up losing 100 life points thanks to one of the Sphinx's abilities. And so, with only 100 life points left, things aren't looking great. Eventually, Yugi is able to break a curse that's inside the Millennium Puzzle, and he's able to weaken the Pyramid of Light, and he's able to escape the Millennium Puzzle along with like Tad, Tristan, and Joey. And Yugi uses a bunch of like his magic cards, and he's able to bring back Blue-Eyed Shining Dragon with Monster Reborn. And he uses Blue-Eyed Shining Dragon to destroy the Pyramid of Light. And then he uses another one of his magic cards to activate Kaiba's face down card, which was returned from a different dimension. He's like, when Sento Kaiba spoke of dealing me the perfect defeat, he meant destroying me with my own Egyptian god cards. Allow me to introduce Slifer the Sky Dragon, the Winged Dragon of Ra, and Obelisk the Tormentor. And we get the coolest anime scene with the 3 Egyptian god cards. They attack and destroy Anubis with like Titan Firestorm, which is like the 3 of them working together. That's their major attack. It's a really dope anime scene. So we get this scene where like everything should be good. Like Anubis's body has been destroyed. But then we hear Anubis' voice, and the black puddle that he turned into starts forming this creature, and he's like, it's no longer time to duel. It is time to die! How can you survive a duel when the monsters are real? And he's like this, beast thing with a giant axe on top of its head. It's really cool and really creepy. And Yugi's like, how can we beat a real monster? And Kaiba's like, with a real monster. And he throws Yugi Blue Eye Shining Dragon. And Yugi literally flips off the camera. Like, he has the card between his index and middle finger, and he shows it. His middle finger is facing the camera, and Atem, he grabs the card as well. It's like, no, Yugi, we're not doing that. It's probably what he's thinking. But they summon the Blue Eyes White Shining Dragon, and they use it to destroy Anubis for good. And, in the end of the movie, like, Kaiba says things like, listen, Yugi, we both know if Anubis hadn't shown up and crashed that party, the winner of today's duel would have been me. So enjoy your little victory while you still can. Because believe me, it's not gonna last much longer. And, it ends with Yugi just saying he is grateful that he had so many friends to help him out, to defeat Anubis, and when you have friends, you're really a winner. And then we get the end. The credits roll. It's a great ending song. I loved it. If you never heard it, it's one card short, so good. Let's roll a little bit of it, because I love it. So, I have a proposal. If this video gets at least 1 subscriber and 500 views, I will do a review of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions. Depends how well this video does, but if you liked it, that's what I'll do. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you haven't seen Pyramid of Light, go check it out. It's an amazing movie, especially if you love Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I do. Anyway, guys, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.